Hey, Ross.
What's up, Kev?
So where are we with the latest on indoor air quality? Sort of your specialty here.
Yeah, so we're getting, houses are getting tighter, right? They're getting more airtight, and so what happens is we're trapping those, chemicals and contaminants inside the building. So
And we're tighter for a couple of reasons. I mean, we've got better insulation, so the blown-in stuff that we use, the expanding foam, that we love it because it really does tighten it up. Code requires us to get to higher insulation values.
That's right. Yep. The buildings are tighter, and the thing is, most people think that the buildings are static in terms of like what's happening inside the building. And what's actually contrary is that it's dynamic, right? What happens in a building is a function of the people, the outdoor climate, what's happening inside. Are we cooking? Are we, running showers? And so all of these are going to cause different chain of reactions inside the home.
So Monday to Friday, no one's really at the house because they're at work, kids are at school. It's sort of mellow.
Steady state.
Yep. Weekend, you start cooking a big dinner party for a bunch of people. You've introduced a lot of stuff. That's your point.
That's right. Yeah, and if it's cold outside, if it's cold outside and warm inside, air's trying to get into the building, right? That cold air.
Oh, the heat trying to. So.
That's right. So that 70-degree air you've heated is now trying to rise up by stack effect and try to leave to the roof. As it leaves to the roof, air has to be replaced, right? What goes out must come back in. So that same amount of air is coming right back in. And so that stack effect is happening all the time. And sometimes it can be reverse stack effect in the summertime, right? Where it's coming down.
So when you say a house is dynamic, what does that mean to a guy like you who's constantly chasing this data?
Yeah, so what we are looking at is using IAQ monitoring devices, things like this, where we can actually measure certain things inside of the building. And we can't measure everything. What we do is we typically pick like 6 or 7 proxies for indoor air quality. So that could be carbon dioxide, like what we breathe out. It could be particulate matter, like when we burn stuff. VOCs, like off-gassing of chemicals from furniture and carpets. Radon is another big one. Temperature, humidity, right? So we focus on these things to get a really good understanding of the building's air quality. And we try to put these in places like the basement, the first floor, second floor, to get a general understanding of how that house is performing.
We have got equipment now that lets the resident of the house, the civilian, the regular person measure.
Yeah, exactly right. So here's one.
Regular people.
That's right. The regular people now DIY consumer-friendly devices that measure those 6 things I talked about. This one does that. And so VOCs, CO2, radon, particulate matter, temperature, relative humidity, and pressure.
Okay.
So we can measure all of that, and these all measure different things. And so when we deploy these and we monitor over time, that continuous monitor, the data doesn't lie. It tells us how the house is performing.
Where does this data go, though? Do I have to keep a looking at it?
Yeah, so I have it here on my computer. So we can pull it up on a tablet or a phone, but in this case, I'm pulling it up on my laptop, and so I can see real time. Yeah. So what we can actually do is, as an example, brought some hairspray.
Did you go through my bathroom again?
This is yours? Yeah, that's right. So then I can spray this. Watch, I'll just give it a spray, right? And by doing that, and look at the spike to 890, the VOCs right there. Volatile organic compounds, in this case, total VOCs is what we're looking at right here.
For the regular people, the homeowners who put these in, they're going to get the data. What are they going to do with it? Like, they look at it, and then is this going to tell them, I don't know why it's happening, but you do have a spike?
Right, so if one of these, or even multiple of these 6 or 7 proxies are out of line, right, much higher than what you expect to see, that's where you have to bring in the professionals for professional monitoring, right? Then they can get into really, really targeted data, and they can monitor precise, chemicals or compounds and things like that. So it's basically one of those things where this is kind of like the first line of defense to see what you have in your house, and then you bring in the professionals if you see that these are out of line.
So you've got one here, it's doing its thing. The differences between, say, that and this and these little guys?
Yeah, so this one does temperature, relative humidity, and CO2. This one does the same thing, temperature, relative humidity, and CO2. These do temperature and relative humidity. So there's a variety that are on the market. They all have pros and cons in terms of accuracy and precision and kind of the features and how, if are they Bluetooth enabled, are they Wi-Fi enabled, et cetera. So we use these and a variety of other sensors to really deploy them to get an understanding of how that house is performing.
Gotcha. And I guess if you put them in and everything's sort of flatline below the thresholds, at the very least, it gives you peace of mind that you've got a good situation.
That's right.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate it, Ross.
You're welcome.
I'm choking on
look
your
at that.
hairspray.
Look at the VOC spike.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. Make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.